Good evening, fans of the Wheel of Time. Welcome to our chat. We're doing a season 3 recap. We're going to talk about all the things Wheel of Time and hope to get into it. Let's get right into it. Jermaine, let's talk a little bit about the show this season. A big departure from what we've seen in season 1 and season 2, and I have to say it was a needed change. While I love the show, season 3 is definitely it. It really changed the game, especially with those first 15 minutes when the show came on. But from that moment on, we knew that this season was a little bit different, right? So, what, in your opinion, what are some of the storylines that we saw initially in season 3 that really kind of did it for you?
Well, I'm gonna say I enjoyed Perrin's storyline. Really, I enjoyed that one episode with Perrin, Golden Eyes. The reason for it is because, like I said before, I've read many of the books, not all of the books. I've read many of the books, and they spent a great deal of time really talking about Perrin, talking about his powers, his how being Taviran affects him, and all of that. And it was just like in season 2, I was like, where he at? Where he at?
Yeah.
Like they were supposed to be talking about him and they didn't talk about him. And so this season they finally, kind of delved into his character and the significance of his character, because all before it's like, why is he on this show?
Mm-hmm.
So I was so happy that they finally, really dug deep into the essence of Perrin as a character. And I will say this: I was expecting more from the character of Egwene, considering how much time that they spent on her last season. I just kind of thought that it would be, like a continuation of it, and they kind of sort of did, but let's be honest, they wasted our time with that. Like they could have just not had it. Other storylines that kind of did it for me. No, that was it for me.
So I kind of agree with you with Perrin. Perrin kind of, to me, this season was the first season I really was really interested in Perrin's character and his story, because I wasn't feeling it at first. I didn't care until he got to the point where I learned about him being a wolf brother and that whole thing, and then leading into this season and all the drama. I absolutely loved that part of the story as well. I also agree with Egwene, that whole that enslavement period, right? I feel like that really should have led her down a little bit more trauma or a little bit more something to give her a little bit more in this season. And I kind of felt that was wasted with the whole I'm still caught up in Rand, pieces of that story, right? And then ultimately, we saw what happened. Nothing. She cried, and and that was really about it. And Rand, of course, was being a complete fuckboy this whole season. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I did not like that. But I will say, one of the pieces that I love is really Siuan and Moraine and their story together, and how that kind of culminated. And one of the favorite moments of this season for me was when Moraine realized that Siuan was dead when she was fighting Lanfear. And that particular moment was really, it kind of encapsulated their whole story. And that moment gave her the strength that she needed to finally get the upper hand with Lanfear. And I really think that was even though that's a part of the book, but they took some liberties with this, with their relationship. I think that was one of the better storylines. I also go.
No, it was just like, so it was something that I was going to mention, but I was just like, was it a storyline, or was it just like we're gonna throw that in there because we want to get rid of this character, and how would that affect Moraine? So we gotta we gotta deal with it. So I was kind of like wrestling with that. Like, is it a storyline? Is it not? I don't know. But okay.
So, but let's say, well, like the snippets of it, how they've been feeding us this throughout the entirety of the show up to this point. Like even in the first season, they gave hints of it, and they didn't really get into it until the second season, where they fed us a little bit more of it, a little bit more of it, and then this season, a little bit more in the beginning, and then finally the culmination of what we see, or what we think is the end of Siuan, and how that. So, I really enjoyed that, but I don't know if it's because it was the portrayal of the characters, or if I felt that it was really central to the story. And the next storyline that I enjoyed, is going to shock you, is Matt's.
Okay.
I've been talking about Matt being useless this whole time, but that end scene, those end scenes with Matt, and just those pieces of him being with Aiel and playing the mating game, all of those little intricacies with him and Min, and all that kind of makes me a little bit more curious about Matt going forward. I kind of, I really did kind of enjoy that. Karis, I see that you said that you enjoyed meeting Elaine's family. Morghese she is a savage. She is a beast. And also the Battle of Two Rivers. I enjoyed it. I expected to see a little bit more. I thought it was going to be a little bit more magic, but it was really, 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 really good. It was really good. It was really good. I liked Elaine's story as well, too. I will say that. I kind of thought that she was another character that was kind of getting a little bit of the smaller character role, so to speak. And I just think that, what Natasha would just say, Siuan's speech was so good. You wanted at that speech, you wanted them to get up and you wanted some power to come from somewhere and to kill everybody in the room. And that didn't happen. I was so disappointed, but it was so good. It was so good. So good. What other storylines? That's it.
For me, it was really just Perrin's storyline, any and everything dealing with Perrin. Just the way that they wrote it, I could tell, the fact that Perrin went off basically by himself, other than with the Ogier. I can't think of his name right now.
I can't either.
You can't hear me?
I can't think of his name either.
Oh, that particular like I knew that storyline was coming up, because there was no way that they could get around it. There was no way that they could get around it. So I knew that storyline was coming up, and what they did with it, they kind of like they for people who read the book, you knew it was coming. You just didn't know how it was going to play out. Like for me, like I thought that would have been the final episode, considering. Like it would
how dramatic it was. How it just abruptly
read it in the book. Like I was literally crying as I read it. It was so much going on, and so it was that storyline was the one that did it for me.
Okay, so I talked a little bit about Matt, and Matt has been everyone's reluctant warrior, so to speak. But in the finale, we see some stirrings of power, right? And so, of course, in the book, they go into way more knowledge about the Finn, and that there's evidently two types of this creature that they interact with, or that Matt interacts with. Of course, he's given 3 wishes, right? Each of these wishes comes with conditions, much like a genie, right? At the end of this, we see when he asks to leave, he's given 2 things. He's given holes in his memory, because he asked for to be free from, well, one of the things he's asked for is to be free from the Aes Sedai, and that ultimately means that he's not going to be subjected to the whims of people that are channeled. So he won't be have any effects of channeled magic on him. The second being, what's the second one? The second one is his memories, right? Wanting his memories to be restored. But in the book, the memories are restored. But here in the show, he has gaps in his memories. But I think that's going to lead into something different. But ultimately, with these 3 gifts and these curses come these 3 opportunities, right? I finally think that Matt is going to step up to the level that we anticipate Matt to be compared to the Matt in the books. Um, After everything that we've seen from Matt, do we think this changes our view on him?
No, for me, and it has a whole lot to do with the fact that I've read the book. They are underplaying Matt. I don't know if it was because that the actors changed and they didn't know whether they could trust this particular actor as much as the first actor. Until he kind of like got his sea legs together or what have you. But I think now they're definitely moving in the direction that was always intended for Matt. Matt is an important player in all of this. Please do not be. I need everyone to understand that Matt is important. All of them are important. Right. Every last one of them is important.
Let me say this too, though. I think this is one of the faults of the show, and I guess it kind of goes right in tune to what we're going to next. What worked and what didn't. And I think that's the challenge of the books, right? It's how many volumes of books are there? 18 different novels of the story, or is it 10, 12, 15? It's a ton, right? There's so much story, right? And they've only been given 8 seasons at the most. But Amazon, they're probably going to get 6, if that, right? And so much history and information that they have to condense in these chapters, they can no way tell the entirety of the story. But one of the problems is that some of these major characters that really have some big roles to play based on the story that we know, right? I feel like there's not been enough time to develop them as characters just because of the nature of the story. So one of the things that I think did not work is that some characters are left to the wayside because you have to focus on Rand, right, as the dragon. His relationship with Moiraine is so central to the story, and now Lanfear and the Forsaken, etc., they're also taking up a major piece of the story. Well, while in the midst of all this fighting, we're still having to learn who these people are as characters, right, and who they are and what their story is going to be as it relates to the future of this world that we've all kind of joined. So for me, thank you, Natasha. For me, 14 books. For me, that does not work. But I think there's a way that in the future that they will kind of be able to overcome this. But that's one of the things that doesn't work. Like, there are some characters that I want to know more from. I want to hear more about Nynaeve. And I think that she's also underrepresented, considering she's supposed to be one of the most powerful channelers ever. Based on what we've seen of her, I could give a care what happens to her. I couldn't care less.
So I'm going to start with where you ended. So Nynaeve as a character was really someone that, for the most part, when I read different things about her, she just got on my nerves. Be quiet, girl. That's all I want to. Just be quiet. Go somewhere. You can't do nothing. Just be quiet. You always try to run stuff and you ain't got no power. Be quiet. That's all I really want to say. So what's going to happen with Nynaeve happens a little bit later. And so nothing about her character really surprises me. And I think the little bit that we're given, I think that's because of the anticipation of who she is, what she will be. And so that's why they're giving us some of the things that she has been given. Just when things blossom for her, that's when you're gonna really understand. To me, they spent too much time on the character of Moiraine.
Yes.
That all other characters suffered.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, the relationship that she has with Lan is important, but it wasn't as important as what we saw in the television show. Also, there was no relationship between her and the Amelin Seat. So that was another part that was added onto the show. I get why they did it. For the same, you started off talking about how you enjoyed it, you loved it. It made perfect sense. However, it was to the detriment of some of the other characters. They couldn't add those storylines in. So all in all, I'm okay with what I'm seeing.
I think I am too. I am too. So, I totally agree with you, though.
So I do want to say this. Elia is with us. She is available to talk. She just doesn't want to be seen. So
I always want to be seen now. Hold on now, but you might not recognize me today. But I am here. I am here.
So
so
what
what
worked?
worked?
Yeah, what worked for you?
So overall season 8 what worked. Quite naturally there were some people that I did not mind looking at. So I'm gonna take it straight there. There were some attractive cast members. So I did
Who?
appreciate.
Who?
Okay. Um, so of course we all know Lan. Lan was really believe it or not, also Lanfear. Lanfear, very attractive character. Um, and Nynaeve, I think Nynaeve is absolutely gorgeous. Perrin, so we had some attractive people. Of course, Rand, your traditional attractive beau, didn't mind that. So I appreciated having some eye candy to watch during this show. So overall, that worked for me. You know, the sex appeal, those different scenes with characters, especially with my green Aja. Um,
Alana.
yes, Alana and her waters enjoyed how those pieces work together. So just the overall chemistry, attractive cast that worked for me. What didn't work is the fact that sometimes I felt like I needed things to be broken down for me, like I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Sometimes the storyline was it was a lot happening, so which was good in a way because it kept my attention, but some of it I feel like was a bit convoluted. There was so much going on to where I found it a little bit difficult to follow at times. And not having that background knowledge from not having read the books, I felt like, I was a bit of a
What the hell is
novice.
this?
You're right. What is this? What does this even mean? Let me go to Wheel of Time Waikiki fandom and see what. Yes, I found the cheat. I found the cheat code, friends.
I
Found the cheat
did
code.
too. I did too. I spent a full hour on it the other night after the show, and I was just like, "What? Oh, this is what that
Yes,
means."
I was like, oh, this person didn't exist. This did exist, and so I did some of that with Mayfair as well. And so that kind of was like a little cheat code for me. So that did not work. Just so much going on to where I feel like I got a bit lost. But overall, stellar show. Enjoyed it. Can't wait until next season.
So you don't really think that you don't really, other than that, you don't have any other missteps for you? Like, are there some other characters that you wish you would saw more of?
Thank you, Corey, because you just alley ooped. Let me go ahead and bring this back to Perrin right quick. They did. I appreciated the whole Golden Eyes
Yeah.
episode. For me, I was grateful that we saw a bit more of Perrin, but again, there was so much going on to where I still feel like this was Perrin's episode, but we still got a lot of other people. So I feel like everybody there were these plots and subplots, and there was so much going on to where I feel like Perrin in particular kind of got overshadowed quite a bit. I agree with Jermaine when he says that they spent way too much time on Moraine. I'm like, okay.
Like,
It's the
you would
Moraine.
think that the first and second season were all about her, as much
Yeah.
time as they spent on her.
Yes, yes, yes. Natasha says that's understandable. This is one reason why the show needs more episodes for it to breathe. Come on, Natasha, you my soul sister. You get it. She gets it. She gets it. There was so much going on. This could have been one of those Tyler Perry level episode shows to where you have 96 episodes in one season.
Yes.
That's it, because there's
Yes.
so much going on.
30 to
But,
50 episodes.
Yes. So yes, I would
Comparing
have
this show
liked
to
to see
Tyler
it.
Perry, I don't know how I feel about that one.
Well, it was a weak comparison there, but just saying that they had room to spread it out. Spread it out. Yes, a little bit more than what they did over 8 episodes.
Expensive anymore. I agree with you, Christopher. I think that the world itself is so rich, and they have done a really good job with that. One thing that I wish I got a little bit more, I love a villain, and all of us here on the show, we love villains. So the villains are so rich, like Lanfear, Mogadine, and just the ones that we've seen. I've not delved into the books, but there's even more great villains to come, supposedly, to get all of them. But I just wish that we got a little bit more of the villains, because they're also part of that lore and that world building that I kind of miss. But you can't have it all. You can't have all the villains, less Moraine, and then all the people too. So
Not Liz Moraine. Please say that again. we got a little bit of a lighter that showed up as a villain, and she looks so amazing doing it. Like, if I was 90 years old, I'd give a lot of something. Baby, a lot is a worthy villain. Okay, that voice.
Yes, she is fierce.
Well, let me ask you all a question. Is it that the person who was playing Moraine, is it that she wasn't giving what we need, or was it just that they just spent too much time on Moraine?
She's a great actress. I just think they spent too much time. Like, the whole first and second season was really about her. Like, you would have thought that the show was her show. I thought she was the main character, right? Until I realized it was an ensemble, right? And then they started slowly introducing everyone else. I just felt like they focused a lot on her and her backstory.
I agree with Christopher. Christopher says the show does the villains better than the books. I love how they showed the different ways to walk in the shadow while showing that you don't need the shadow to be evil.
I love that. Come on, Chris.
So, Chris, what do you think about, I'm gonna screw up her name because I screw up everyone's name, Elevandra. She was the keeper in the White Tower when Siuan was killed. She's Elida's keeper when she's been promoted to the Amelin seat.
Oh, I know he's AV
Albiandra, whatever.
Yeah, there we go. So Kara says Leanne, but he clarified and he said Elida's keeper, not Liana.
Not Liana, Elida's keeper.
Yeah. She was okay. There we go. Alva something Ren.
Her.
Alvi Aaron. Yeah. She was okay. Yeah, she was just okay.
I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. I'm gonna ask this question. Do we think that Siuan is really dead? Or is her death what some people are calling plot armor? Or is it just a way to move the story forward, to get to another part of the story? According to the books, based off of the little bit that I've seen, Siuan was supposed to have been steeled and not killed, right? And then there was this whole sequence of things that happened, and she's central to the development of other characters that are the heroes that are in the story. Do we think that this is just a fake out, right? Is she really dead? Kara says she dead.
I made a mistake. Somebody else posted a comment, and so I was trying to click another comment. I was waiting for you to finish so I could say, "Nah, she gone." But yeah, she did.
But I've also been getting caught up in the Reddit sites and everything else about the show, and evidently, and if you think back to Elaine's use of balefire, right, when they were running behind Lilandra, right? In the books, using balefire can potentially, yes, Christopher, can potentially wipe out past mistakes or past deeds that have been done by the person that's been killed using the balefire. So, thought, is that a way for Siuan not to be dead? I know that, and what I've read is that because one of the reasons why Siuan is actually dead is because the character wanted time away from the show or contract or whatever. But in the books, when she's steeled, she turns into evidently a much younger looking person, right? That this actress could not probably do. So is she dead, or is it just a way to either move the story forward with her death or bring in another actress as a shock value?
So in order to do that, then they would have to kill Alviarin,
Right.
with the Balefire. Or I'm assuming it's that easy, but the way things go, if they kill Elida, that might resurrect Siuan as well. I don't know. It's a possibility, but I don't know. We do have some comments, or at least one. Balefire powerful enough to bring her back would break down reality itself.
Interesting.
So in other words, this is what I do know. Even Luz Theron, all of the Forsaken, they do not want to use Balefire. I haven't gotten to the point where I've read the why, but I do know they do not. When Luz Theron is talking to Rand in his head, anytime that Rand suggests, "Hey, I could just use Balefire," Luz Theron says, "No, don't." So I don't know.
I gotta look into this. Like, what is going on with the Balefire? Now I'm like the red button with the little child. Now I got to press it. Now I have to see
we gotta press it. We gotta see it. We gotta see it. So, were we right or wrong about Lanfear and her motivations? Thinking back to some of the other conversations that we had about her, and what did we think her motivations were, and what type of character she was going to be at the end of the season? Do we feel that we were right or wrong about Lanfear? I personally feel like, she is who we thought she was at the very beginning. I think she was confused. Now, granted, I thought that she, Jeraine, you did say this, right? I think that ultimately she had us thinking, or me rather, that she was concerned about the love and that she could potentially be good and all this other kind of stuff, when really and truly, it was a game to her. It was all a game.
You think so?
So it's either all a game, or the hurt was such a deep hurt that ultimately it just kind of made, and she's acting out of anger now. But either way, I don't know if I really believe that, because it was such a drastic turn for her to immediately go from 0 to 100, right? From "I love you, Rand," et cetera, and all this other kind of stuff, to what she ultimately does in the end.
She went from 0 to scorned.
Correct. And is that it? Because she was just a woman scorned?
So, but my thing is, Lanfear, I don't think she was gonna ever be for the light. There was too many wheel turns ago for her. But I do feel like she was ultimately for Rand. That's it. That Rand is her end game. And so when he played her, she went from 0 to scorned. So, but make no mistake about it, I genuinely feel like they're helpful for the dark. She for them streets. Like, but I need Rand to be for the dark too.
Expound on that, please expound.
I do. I feel like
that.
I think she wants Rand to be for the dark.
Oh, she wants Rand. I thought you were saying you want Rand for the dark.
Honestly, it would just make for an interesting play out on the show, especially like that would have forced not Nynaeve, Egwene into an impossible situation to where they would be I don't want to say enemies, but adversaries. So that would make for some interesting television. if we pit those two against each other, if Rand ultimately became for the dark. And so with Egwene's power, I feel like, obviously he's the dragon reborn, but still, I feel like they would have her show up way more in her power if she would have to be his adversary.
Now, why do you mention Egwene?
Because again, there's nothing like a woman scorned. So there's already this thing going on with Lanfear. Now, ultimately, in the end, how this season ended, they kind of were against her. But still, Rand, even if that was your end game to do this the whole time, I don't know if I'm buying all of that. You enjoyed some of this with Lanfear. Right. I think you did. And so I don't know if they could ever repair that relationship. I don't know.
It's all very interesting.
I also agree with you, and let me add to the point. One of the final scenes that we saw was Rand when he got to that point when he was fully kind of basically overcome by a mix of shadow and fire, and Egwene was telling him to pull back or to stop, and he just looked at her, and that look that came across his face as the power was encircling him, he's already getting there to that point, right? So it wouldn't be too much of a leap to say, and I know in the books there's all these other things that happen and they really start to show the madness or whatever, but it wouldn't be too much of a leap to say that in a couple seasons, hope we get him, right, that he actually is the bad guy, right? And all these heroes that have grown to love him or to celebrate him as a dragon reborn now have to face him. Oh, that'd be so good.
So, like I mentioned in the last episode, whenever Rand uses his power, he becomes emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that he was looking at her like, what the fuck, or stand back or whatever. It was just more like he was just looking, because he's devoid of emotion when he's using his power. So don't read too much into his look.
But is that a precursor to the challenges that he will start to face as he's forced to use more and more power as the odds begin to, I imagine the odds are going to get more and more in favor of the dark, as most of the time these shows do. The light is basically backed up against the wall, and it comes down to 2 or 3 decisions or choices that they make, or whether or not they're going to survive, right? So ultimately, we're going to see the same type of situation where a sacrifice is going to have to be made, and it's going to be Rand. It's going to be the sacrifice, or sacrifice it in terms of the amount of power they has to use or whatever, right? I didn't read the rest of the books. I don't know, or like Elias says, is he ultimately would he be turned to the dark? Like, how do the books end? Those of you that have read the books.
I don't know how it ends. It seems as if Christopher and Natasha and Karis have read the full series. I'm just on 6.
Christopher says Egwene loves Two Rivers Rand. She's afraid of the dragon reborn. They will never work. I don't think she's afraid of him, though. I don't know if I go that far.
No, she's not. She's not necessarily afraid of him. It's more his power. I will say this: they never got together in any kind of way in the book at all. That is something of the show.
Okay.
So in terms of their dynamic, what we see or what we will see will probably be like, oh, I didn't anticipate that. Right. So Christopher says, I know how it ends, but do you want me to spoil it? No, don't spoil it. I don't want
don't spoil it. Or just message us offline and tell me.
Just allow it to me on the side. Don't do it for me.
So this other question, kind of moving to the White Tower, right? There was a lot that happened over the course of the season that involved political intrigue as it relates to the White Tower, and the Aes Sedai themselves, along with Amelin Seed, et cetera, et cetera. Are they alone responsible for the chaos that ensues as a result of everything that happened, whether it be Siuan's action or lack of action, as some may say, or the Aes Sedai themselves responsible for the chaos?
Elia?
I was about to say, I'm watching you hold your lips so tight together, Jermaine, trying not to say anything. So I guess by default, since Moraine and Siuan are part of the of the tower, I do feel like they're to blame. I don't know if I would put it on the whole tower, since they had information that everyone else did not. So I don't know. I'd say by default, they are to blame.
I agree with you. I agree with you only because I feel that what is happening now is a result of the political game that the White Tower is playing with magic and the rules that they've built up over time in their society. I feel like that ultimately is one of the reasons why there's all this infighting, there's this chaos, there's these people that believe one way about magic. And as much as I loved her, Siuan's choices and decision making in the resulting crises that happened, right? The things that she did or didn't do or how she acted, I think ultimately contributed to a lot of the chaos.
So look, all right. So, all right. So these things have been discussed in the show. So I'm going to talk about it. All right. So we saw one of the Forsaken actually talk to Lanfear, right? And by doing that, he actually created the Black Aja. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Black Aja didn't exist all up until then. And a lot of the decisions that they're making is because they know that they suspected that the Black Aja existed. So that's part of the reason why they weren't telling everybody. That's why they were holding their cards close to their vest. That's why they were moving in ways that seemed odd to other Aes Sedai, which made them distrust them even more. But it all started, the genesis of it all came from the creation of the Black Aja. Okay. And so if the question is it the White Tower or something else? It's something else. It's not the White Tower. I think that what we're seeing played out. I mean, just think about in regular politics. You got people who believe this, you have other people who believe this, and so they don't necessarily talk to each other. It's not the institution itself, it is these outside forces that are making the institution react in the way in which it's reacting, if that makes sense.
But do you think though, right, that like thinking about all the other people that channel and that are looked down upon by the Tower, the Aes Sedai, and those other groups, like for instance, the group that was bringing them across the water and all these other sects of channelers that are not recognized at the Tower, right? If there was a way for power to be decentralized, right? And for them not to be so cloistered, and this is what ifs, right? But would it still happen the way that it happened? I feel like the structure of the Aes Sedai in and of itself is part of the reason why there was, Black Aja could have been created and why all this distrust was sown into the Tower is up its own butt. I feel like that's the reason.
The unequal distribution of power has created chaos within itself to even be able to allow the Forsaken to come in and create chaos. I feel like is what you're saying. Okay.
Yes.
So what you're
or
saying
even
is,
to be able to respond effectively to threats, right? Of this magnitude.
so what you're saying is, if someone doesn't have the power, they automatically distrust those with the power, as evidenced by the white cloak, and as evidenced by even the two rivers, because many of the people in the two rivers don't trust those
Correct.
with power, and so because they have power, the fact that you have power, not the institution itself, but the fact that you have power, people are more likely to distrust you.
Right.
So like the real world.
That I
Got it.
understand. That I understand.
Right.
So Christopher
And
says,
they don't do themselves any favor, right? It's classism, right? Christopher, right?
So Christopher says the paranoia and classism in the tower makes it a flawed system, especially when you have an Aja who relies on the status quo to remain. The red Aja doesn't exist if I don't know.
If the system
Isn't tainted. Oh, yeah. Sidene. If Sidene isn't tainted. Okay. Gotcha. Also, Christopher says, if you notice, Aes Sedai didn't have a red stone. I don't know who that is. What Chris said, and then Karis also says, well, Egwene has learned channeling in the tower with the Sanche and Aiel. Elaine studied with Sea Folk and the tower.
And Karis, I think that in and of itself is one of the things that, and they're not technically in the tower right now, right? They didn't really learn of the tower system. They learned outside of the tower, which kind of gives them a better perspective, a different perspective, but also I think it's going to give them a leg up than other Aes Sedai that have been a part of that power structure within the tower.
I think what Karis was saying is she was looking at it from a different perspective. What she was saying is you have all these other groups who do have power outside of the White Tower.
Correct. But if those groups were even allowed to be a part of the tower or be a part of the maintaining or protection of the quote unquote realm from the dark, I think it would be a different story, so to speak.
And I think that is I think that's why Egwene. I was about to tell you something that I shouldn't tell you, but to your point, I think we're going to see some of that next season.
Right.
I think we're going to see some of that next season.
So this is off the script a little bit, but next season, what do we want to see? That's true, Karis. That's true.
Oh yeah, what do you want to see next season? Because I've been talking a lot.
Next season, more of the same. I could tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a Mayfair level letdown. That's what I don't want to see. But I would like to see them keep this cast that they have. I feel like they have some really, really great actors in this show across the board. So I would like to see more of them bring back the same cast. To that end, if they do introduce anyone new, please let them be attractive. I know I keep harping on this, but it's important. It's important. At least it's important to me.
Well, who's not attractive?
I didn't say that. I don't think Leandrian is attractive, but I enjoy watching her.
Not at all. Like she got a rich face.
It's like watching Schmeagol from the Lord of the Rings
with blonde extensions.
Y'all ever saw Saw?
Yeah.
Don't she look like Saw?
She looked like the puppet. She looked like the puppet. The way her cheekbones all high and pulled back, and she got that decrepit looking face.
But you know what? That wench can flat act. So she okay. They can bring her back. It's fine. I enjoy watching her. But in all seriousness, again, Perrin, little bit more of him, and Matt. My goodness, please let Matt get laid in the next season.
And shine. And shine. We want to get laid and shine.
Oh yes, please do something with Matt. Because poor Matt, he had it tough. But let's see. I want to see how Elida runs the top. Listen, look, I'm starting with the play things now. You're getting into the serious stuff. I think Elida is going to be a great and horrible Amaryllin.
Mhm.
So
And when
you
I
said
say
a great.
yes,
Tell us why. Tell us why she's going to be great, and then tell us why she's going to be horrible.
I think that heifer was born to rule. So I think she's going to be great simply because she does not care about
What
anybody's
you think?
feelings. She's going to make the decisions that she thinks needs to be made. Come with may, come with might. I'm not interested in the politics of friends. I'm here to run the tower. That is it. That is it. And you're going to respect me. If you don't like it, off with your head. Okay. So I think she's going to be a great ruler simply because now look, you'll in a different conversation I'll contradict myself. People will look, I'm serious. People will fear her. Okay. They're not gonna play with a lot. I don't think so. Now horrible is a contradiction. People will fear her. And
Right.
so you have to be leery of people who are afraid of you. They will plot to kill you. So I think she's gonna be great and durable.
I think for me, what I would love to see next season, I want to see a little bit more of Elaine, um, and that whole relationship with her mother and how she finds out about Gabriel and how he's not, he's not who he said he is. Basically, what Tom I think told her. I want to see that. I want to see that court and how that court, interacts. I want to see more of the two brothers. And their dynamic, kind of as they protect their sister or their mother or whatever. I think that could kind of be really interesting. My concern is though, is that going to foreshadow some of the other stuff, right? Like we saw a lot of Two Rivers this season, and I feel that that story is also going to kind of be brought up to the forefront, and it may overshadow some other things. And also we can't forget about Perrin's situation, right, being taken away by the White Cloaks. I'm curious to see what happens with that, and how that piece of the story is going to interact with everything else that's going on in the world. And I want to see who's going to get the brunt of Moraine's sorrow at the death of Siuan, right? How is that going to manifest, and is that going to change her character, or are we in for some good challenge and some good power and some good just is she going to go on a revenge tour, so to speak?
So I was gonna be quiet, but Blake said something, and I was like, "Oh, this is the moment for me to be quiet because I've read the books, and I have a sense of what's going to happen. So let me just be quiet." But Blake says, "I'm interested to see how close they play Elida to the books." So some of the things that Corey just said, not just Corey, Corey and Elia, especially Elia, it is the exact opposite. So
Now, let me find
and
out.
that's one of the criticisms that the book
killing
readers
a
have been having with the show the whole time, is that they've changed a lot of the plot points, but they just can't do it the way the books are done. They just can't.
So Christopher says, and excuse me, everyone else is calling you Chris. I'm calling you Christopher because I know some people named Christopher and no, call me Christopher, not Chris. So Christopher, we are definitely getting the Camelin plot for the Lion Throne because that matters to Elida as well. Yes, thank you.
So you were kind of hinting at this. I kind of know what's supposed to happen according to the books. What's supposed to happen to Elida, but I don't think that they're going to waste that character. Let me just say that.
Yes, please say that again. This is not like Game of Thrones to where anybody could die at any second. I think she does so well that they are going to draw it out a little bit for us. If they ultimately had planned to do whatever happens in the books, because I have no clue. But she's just too much of a powerful character since she's shown up to just do away with her.
Honestly, I think it's the actress. I think
Yeah.
the actress is
That's
a
what it
powerful
is.
actress, and so we expect more from that particular character.
Mhm.
I
Thank
honestly
you.
wish she would have been on the side of the light. Honestly,
I don't
because
think I like her.
but think of those characters that are good, but that no one likes, right? But they are a necessity because they know they shit, right?
So Christopher also says Elida is going to hunt Moraine and Rand, causing fractures in the tower.
I think that kind of has to happen to move the story forward to an extent.
You added the LOL, so I'm assuming that LOL is because of the use of the word aborted.
And also, doesn't she in the books? Doesn't she, Siuan? Didn't she take a male lover as a partner after she was stealed? And was it Gareth? Was his name? And she was
Gareth
into
Bryn?
she was into spankings and whatnot. And
Oh,
I haven't gotten there. I haven't gotten there.
you would uncover. No, she was in a little S&M, heavy,
L.
heavy on the M. This weekend.
Masochism. She was into it. She liked it. So, so we're gonna toot a boot real quick. Toot is if we liked it. Boot is if we hate it. Rand as a fuck boy. Tooted or booted next season?
Tooted. Toot. He is. He absolutely is. Yes, absolutely.
I wouldn't mind if they deviated a little bit and threw in a little a guy in there too. Just if you're gonna have him go all out, just have him just be the fuck boy that we know he should be. Lalandrian Sorrow.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So Blake said because she's a black woman, I'm assuming he's talking about Siuan. I appreciate them not letting her go out all subservient and whatnot after being still.
Yes, we love it. We want to toot that, Blake. We like that.
We toot that. Lalandrian Sorrow. I think her sorrow, this is me personally, that was an integral part or an integral character in this season as well. And it led to the feelings that she has and the need that she has for power and for being recognized, so to speak.
So do me a favor. When you say sorrow, can you qualify that?
The sorrow of, so she is a badass character, right? She has been through a lot in her life, and she has turned that quote unquote sorrow into strength, but it's still pain, right? It's still there. It still represents itself. Do we think she gets redemption, or is her pain her power? Are we tooting Lalandrian as the
no power?
She's signing up to be a weak Forsaken. She want to be under Mogedian.
So we booting that, right? Because that was really a turn. That was a turn because that's not what we expected. We expected her to be a badass, and when she got in front of Mogadeen, she was basically like, I'll be your whatever.
Your bootlicker, girl. If you did all this to just be under Mogedian, I'm disappointed in you.
Yes, we Mogadeen.
I go back and forth. I call her both. Either way, Schmeagol from the Lord of the Rings. I'm booting her. Booting her.
Nynaeve. Are we tooting or booting Nynaeve next season? Up to this point, I've been booting Nynaeve. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm tooting her.
I'm a tutor because I know she got great things in her.
After she parted that Red Sea.
She does have great things in her. She got land, baby. She got land.
Something we all need and want in us is a little land, or big land, whatever. Either way,
whatever kind of land it is,
a land farm, baby. Make your mark. Please make your mark, land. Land mark.
So Christopher says Leandra is going to get exactly what she deserves.
Yeah, I think she will. I think that it's coming, and she has only herself to blame, based off our actions. Matt, he's finally a player in the game, it seems, so to speak. We'll see how it turns out. Are we tooting or booting?
I'm gonna always toot Matt.
Yeah, I'm trying to I'm tooting for him getting some toot or something. Yeah, I like that.
I'm gonna throw in a couple other characters. Men. Are we tooting or booting men?
Boo.
Other characters gonna be tooting men too. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Mom is the worst seer ever.
She is the worst seer. She is the worst seer. The worst.
I got a feeling. Y'all gonna be saying other things next season.
I'm okay with being a renegger. That's fine. I'll go back. I'll go back on it.
I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. I'm gonna have to see it to believe
it.
Okay.
She does play a great Leandra, and I agree.
Did I show this? I feel like I showed this one already.
I don't remember that one.
I can see that, Christopher, excuse me. I can see that. I think they've just
you can see it, but you're trying to boot them.
Yeah, because up to this point.
Explain this.
I said up to this point, going to the next season, I'm booting it because I don't feel it, but I could see where something could be there. Like we just talked about how they misuse other characters, right? Or misuse some of the characters and didn't allow all of them the opportunity to shine. I think we just don't know enough about it, right? I'm gonna say it like this. There's nothing about her character other than a few points here and there that makes me really want to root for her. But I do root for her because of her character. But I just haven't,
You don't have a closeness to a character because you haven't seen her as much as you've seen Moraine and now Rand. Okay. All right. I got you.
You could copy this screenshot, this timestamp this, and then we're gonna go back to it in another season if we get it. And I can explain myself and how wrong I was if that's what happens.
Are you saying I can do this for all past shows?
Yes, you can.
Now you know that Virgo's gonna go pull up everything.
I know he will. I know he will.
So Nikola Tesla stealing somebody's name. We didn't get enough loyal, and now he's gone. Is he gone? I don't believe he's gone. That's why I don't believe he's gone.
I don't think he's gone either. I don't either. I was so curious about his world and more about the legend of his character and his quote unquote species or whatever. And we didn't get enough of him. So
okay, all right. So Kara says now begins the longing, and that's in reference to Loyal, however you pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. So after a certain amount of time being away from the shedding, he has a longing for going home.
Right. Such a good. What do you think is going down with Vale, Bane?
See, that's basically where I am in the book right now, Christopher. So I can't. I don't know.
Which one is Bane and which one is Bane?
So the Aiels.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Fail, I really like her character, but I'm just, again, she's newer to the cast, and so I don't, I like her because she's with Perrin. The Aiels are actually probably two of the characters that I care the least about in the show, to be honest with you.
So she's laughing because Corey don't like nobody.
Oh my goodness! Out of the 9,000 characters, he could name 2 that he likes.
That's not true. I like Matt now. I didn't like Matt in the beginning. I like Rand. I like Lan. I don't like Egwene. But I like her struggle. I like Perrin. I don't care about Nynaeve.
There's a trend. 80% male.
No, you know what? I could honestly say, well, Corey, anybody can get it. It's not gender exclusive. It's not literally nobody. Not the redhead.
I don't like neither one of them. I don't like the old one either. Because she moves stuff and she ain't say nothing. Not Christopher, that's not true. I like Lan too. I like Lan too.
Y'all are hilarious.
What else you got, Corey?
I don't have nothing else. I'm done.
It seems like they just cooked you, Corey.
I feel crispy. So what if nothing? I'm not even gonna say that.
So I'm gonna ask the obvious dumb question. They've been renewed. Do we have an estimate time that they are coming back with it?
I don't know. It usually takes at least a year, right? So
I read somewhere we got 2 years.
2. So they haven't started.
They haven't started filming yet.
Man, I'm gonna be a green Aja by then. I'm gonna have 3 waters.
So y'all, for those of you all who watch us quite a bit, what suggestions do you have in terms of different shows that we should/could be covering? If you've looked into our shows, we've done a lot with Interview with the Vampire. We've done Mayfair Witches, which we about. What other shows could we be covering?
Yes. Let us know.
I've been watching The Bondsman. I don't know if that'd be something that. Explain, Blake. Yeah, you said it's been renewed. Did they announce the renewal? You read it? That they announced it?
I did not read that. Overly presumptuous.
Oh, you were being presumptuous. Oh, let me do a little search.
So currently, we do not know, whether or not it has been renewed, but based on the reviews, everyone is assuming, based on viewership, how they've had much more viewers than they did the first 2 seasons, that it will be renewed. But this show is expensive to produce. Was one of the things that I read. So, but it's outperforming Rings of Power. So
that ain't much to do because I hated that.
Not you hated it.
I've been through the Hobbit world. I'm done with that. I'm just about done with Harry Potter too, but I'm done with that too. Blake, explain BOQ.
So I'm not seeing anything. So the episode, I'm sorry, I'm responding to Blake.
Oh, I have.
While y'all haven't seen Wicked, I saw a couple episodes. I thought it was the silliest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Wait, what was?
I love Foundation.
Oh, I love
Corey and I have both watched Foundation, but I didn't think I could get anybody else to watch it.
It's good, Elliot. Watch Foundation.
I have not. I need to start Last of Us. I've been going down the Black Mirror rabbit hole.
I love Black Mirror.
I can't seem to get enough of Black Mirror.
Yeah, I want to do a quick Black Mirror discussion. Will you do Black Mirror?
I would love it. It has that crazy sci-fi stuff you love, Corey.
Yeah. Black Mirror. We also have talked about The Last of Us as well.
Yeah, we were supposed to start Last of Us this week, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody's watching it.
Have you watched it? I haven't
Have you
watched
all
the first
watched
episode yet. I've watched the
Yeah.
first season. I haven't watched the newest episode just yet. But Black Mirror is timely. It just came out, and so does Last of Us. It'd be something to talk about.
What is Jordan Khan? I don't know. I've never heard of it, and I don't know what WatCon is.
I'm assuming it's Wheel of Time Con is in July, Karis.
Oh, Jordan, as in the author
writer
of these books. Okay.
Oh, cool.
So maybe we'll get a road trip, Wheel of Time road trip.
No, I'm gonna really get my
Supernatural had too many seasons, but it was good. I didn't watch anything consistently with Supernatural, but I love what I did see. It's just too many seasons. And the story after 10 seasons of a show, it's repetitive.
It becomes Tyler Perry.
I see what Christopher's trying to do. Christopher's
trying to get it popping. What's that, Atlanta?
He's trying to get Corey to Atlanta.
I done been.
I'm just playing.
I like twinks, so therefore, no.
Well, I mean,
shut up. They all don't know me as long as you've known me. Hush it up.
Okay, so we have some recommendations. Thank you all so very much. I think this is the end of the show. Thank you all so very much for laughing with us and joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time, y'all have a good one.